Hi, everyone. Welcome to the webinar about our new organization system. I'm going to give just a couple seconds here for everyone to join. We have a lot of people coming in, so thanks for taking the time out of your Wednesday to join us. I hope you all had a chance to log in and see your new accounts with the brand new layout and folders, navigation, all of the above. My name is Abby. I'll be your host today. I'm just giving everyone a second here to jump in, and then we will get started. All right. Looks like we still have some people joining us. So welcome everyone to the webinar. We're going over the new organization system today. So that includes folders, includes navigation. Awesome. All right. Looks like most of us are here. So I'm just going to dive in, but feel free to stay tuned and we'll have some opportunities to interact. All right. So welcome, everyone. My name is Abby. I'm the product marketing manager here at Pull Everywhere. And here's a little fun fact about me. I'm a big tea fan. I think everyone knows that here at Pull Everywhere. Currently, I'm drinking some Himalayan black tea. It's amazing. So before we get started, I wanted to mention that this webinar will be recorded. We'll be sending the link to that as well as some helpful resources afterward. And we're also joined by my lovely teammates, Linny and Courtney, who are here to help answer your questions and pass them along to me as well. So feel free to drop them into the Zoom Q&A box throughout the session, and we'll be dedicating the second half of this webinar to a live Q&A to make sure all of your questions are answered. So for our agenda, I think we've all been using file organization systems for honestly decades. What we are doing today and what we're bringing you is a way to organize your Pull Everywhere account in a similar way. So the key updates here are that you can now organize and sort your activities and put them into folders that contain other folders within them. So it can really help you build a structure in your account. So for today's session, we're going to start off by just giving you an overview of the new look. We're going to talk about how to navigate your account with our refresh navigation on the left side of the screen. And then I'll show you how to organize your activities with folders, how to present them in your slide decks, how to share and collaborate, and how to generate reports. So let's get started. The first thing I wanted to do before we go into our account and actually see the kind of get the unveiling is you can head over to pullev.com/webinar. And I want to get to know you a little bit before we get into all of the awesome content. So let me know, what invention do you think will be popular in 20 years? This is an open-ended question. Feel free to add any type of anything that comes to mind, any inventions. We're talking about new releases today, so feel free to add any of your wildest inventions here. Teletransportation. Is that when you just teleport somewhere instead of, taking a vehicle? Okay, we have more about transportation, flying cars, computer installed in your brain. Yikes, that sounds interesting. We have, 3D, a couple of 3D foods, drone Uber, nice. What is a hyperloop? I actually don't know. Living in space, wow, 20 years, that close. Self-driving cars being the norm. I think that's, yeah, a couple of self-driving cars. I think that makes sense. Smart glasses controlled by eye movement and PC glasses. Yeah. Wow. These are all really, they sound like sci-fi, but they might be coming soon. Robot house cleaners, I think a mini version of that exists. There might be some full-fledged ones soon. No more offices. Yeah, that's a good point. I wonder what's going to happen with office spaces. Return ticket to Venus. Wow. Hologram meetings. So these are amazing ideas. Awesome. Thanks so much for all your submissions. I hope that kind of got you thinking and inspired. Today's presentation will not be as out there, hopefully. Hydrogen powered cars, mind controlled typing. Oh my goodness. Wow. Ice cream. That is true. I think ice cream will be popular in any number of years. All right. That was a really fun way to start today's webinar with reinventing the wheel. Nice. These are all such great answers. I don't even want to leave this activity, but yeah, all right, let's dive into our account and maybe we'll revisit this if we have time. So let's head over into our brand new account. So this is what you're going to see when you log into Poll Everywhere. You can see we have this brand new navigation on the left-hand side, and we also have a new layout for our activities and folders. So to start off, I'm going to show you how navigation works. So you might remember if you've used Pull Everywhere before, you had your navigation at the top. And now all of those items have moved to the left with helpful icons. So we start off with our activities, and then we have participants, reports, and teams at the top of the navigation bar. And at the bottom, we have support, where you can either visit our support center to get support articles, or you can contact support depending on your plan type. We also have presenter tips. We have invite presenters. So if you ever wanted to invite anyone else to your account, you can do that from here. We have our profile, which includes our settings and our personal information. And then we have account admin if we are the owner or administrator of the account. So we'll be going over some of these sections today, but the key thing to note here is that some of them also have an expandable secondary menu. So for example, activities, and here you can choose between different types of activities. So your own, ones that were shared with you if you're on an account that has teams and shared activities. Account activities and trash are all here. And you can always collapse this menu to focus more on the content itself. So depending on your screen size, you'll want most of your screen to be your actual activities and folders, but that secondary menu will help you do that. So you can always expand that if you need it again. So next, let's go over our activities and folders here. So we have this list when we log in. We can see we have folders at the top, and they'll be ordered alphabetically by default. But here what you can do is click on column titles to sort them. So you can change their order. This is reverse alphabetical, and this affects both your folders and activities. We have last modified, which is the last time it was edited. That means any content changes, any name changes, but not gathering new responses. So you can sort by last modified, can also sort by count, which is either the number of responses to an activity or the number of items in a folder. And items just includes both activities and folders. So those are our columns. You'll also notice that when you sort, you can drag and drop these items to move them. So for example, if I wanted to move just one activity, this one, into my icebreakers folder, I can move it by dragging and dropping. And now it has been moved. I can also drag a folder into another folder, which is a major change. So let's put maybe our fall semester into Q3 2021. And now we have 4 folders here. If we click into Q3 2021, we have our fall semester right there, and we can continue drilling down into folders. So this Q3 folder is one of my proudest folders. I have a ton of levels here just to show you. You can have up to 20 levels for a folder. So that means you can really get granular. You know, you can have your September 1st new hires and your September 15th, and maybe each of your, your higher cohorts has different modules. So you can make folders for those too. You can really drill down here and add a bunch of folders to get specific and categorize. Along the way, you'll notice there's this path here at the top, and you can always click along the path to go back up a folder, or you can also move items out of folders this way. You can drag and drop them into any of the folders along the path to bring them out of this current folder and into that one. So there we go. Just moved one of my folders out. Of course, this folder can also have just activities too. It's just a demonstration of the different folder levels. And if you ever wanted to head back to your just activities page, you can click activities here. You can click it in your navigation. Either way, you're going to head back to that main page with all of your top level or kind of your parent folders and activities. So that's just a sneak peek at all of the levels of folders that we have. But going back into the moving and sorting. So again, we can sort by column titles, and then we can drag and drop one item at a time to move it. On the web version, we also have this unique column called order. And this is really important for people who present from the browser. So I'm not sure if you all know, but you can either present from the browser or from any of our apps for PowerPoint, Keynote, or Google Slides. I'll show you that in a few minutes. But if you're presenting from the browser, the order of your activities matters to you because you don't want to be skipping around. You want to know that when you press your arrow key or the next button, that the following activity is the one that you want it to be. So this is why you have these order numbers assigned to your activities. And you'll have this within a folder too. So let's go into maybe the trainings folder, and you can see, let me actually show you when you have more activities. So our webinars folder would probably be a better example. Let's click into this one and I'll show you. We have let's look at our large teams webinar. We also have order here, right? So this, if you're just presenting from this folder, the order will matter. So you can click on the order column, make sure it's in ascending order. So going from 1 to 6 rather than 6 to 1. And then you can actually drag and drop not only to move things. So again, I can move this out, I can move it around, but here you can also move to reorder things. So you can move this activity. Now it becomes number 4 rather than number 6. And if I start presenting, then once I advance the next activity, it will be in this specific presentation order. So that is a little bit about the order. Again, this is specific to activities on the web. So this is for presenting. You can think of this as your presentation order. And while folders can only be sorted, activities can also be reordered. So that is dragging and dropping. If you're sorting by folders, you'll see you can only move, you cannot reorder. You'll need to order in ascending, and then you'll see this unique icon, which signifies that you can now move these and reorder them as well. So hopefully that clarifies how order versus sorting works. definitely let me know if you have any questions about that. But you might also be wondering, what if I want to move several activities and maybe a couple folders too, all at the same time? I don't want to drag and drop them one by one. In that case, you can click on the checkbox, next to the title of either a folder or an activity, and you'll see these actions appear at the top of the list. And these actions are related to multiple activities and folders at once. That's why they appear once you click on the checkboxes. So the first one we have is move, and this is how you can move multiple items at once. So let's select a couple here. Let's do 3. I'm going to click move. And now what I can do is move them into any of these folders that we see here at the top level, or I can create a new folder. I can go into a folder, create a folder here. Anywhere along the way, you can always create more folders. So let's create a new folder on our kind of homepage, the activities level. We're going to call this, sample activities. So I'm going to add this new folder. Now it's created and I can move the 3 items directly into here. So there we go. We didn't see a quick error there, but let me just do that one more time. Sample and move. Oh, all right. Looks like that didn't work this time, but don't worry, this will work. When you click on the checkboxes, you're able to move multiple items at once. So just to show you some other actions that appear, we have duplicate, which copies the activity or the activities in the folder. We have clear, which you probably are all familiar with already. You can clear the results from your activities and archive them. If you do have reports as part of your plan, you can then run a report later on. You have delete, which will move the items into the trash. And just a note here, if you do delete a folder, the folder structure will not be retained. So the actual activities within it will be moved to trash. So just be careful about deleting. You can always restore the activities if it's within 30 days, but that's something to keep in mind. Next, we have lock and unlock. So here you can prevent any new responses from coming in or unlock it again. Here is where some of the collaborative features come in. So you can send a copy of one or more activities or, any of the activities in a folder to another presenter. And that is the send copy action. So you can either send this to everyone on your account, or you can enter the names of specific individuals. And that way they will receive a copy. You will still be the owner of this activity, but they will also get a copy in their own account. Next, we have create report, which I'll go over. I'll come back to this part. We have change owner, which is different from send copy, because here you're actually transferring ownership of an activity or folder. And now you no longer are the original owner. Basically, you have completely transferred it to someone else. So you can enter their name or email here, transfer it over. Next, we have download screenshots and download slides. This is pretty self-explanatory. You'll get either the screenshots from your selected activities or the slides. And the key difference here is that you'll now get an email with the attachments rather than just downloading right away. But this way you can get more if you need them. We have the configure action, which allows you to adjust any of the response settings for multiple activities at once. And then we also have share responses, which will send the screenshots and kind of the summary as an email to anyone. So you can always share the responses as well. So all you need to do is enter their email addresses and they'll receive a summary of the results. So these actions, again, apply to multiple activities. You could, of course, just do them for one, but they can apply to several. You can even include a folder here or multiple folders, and you can always take these actions. Then you also have actions on each individual row. So on every activity, you have the activate icon, which activates your activity. You also have this drop-down menu, which allows you to see individual actions related to that specific item. So for example, you can copy the response link for this one activity. You can see the responses, so you can actually get an overview of how everyone responded. And then you can edit, duplicate, and delete. And then for folders, you have a couple additional actions here. You can add an activity, and that will just take you to the activity creator view. But this folder will automatically be selected for you so that this activity that you're adding will go into that folder right away. Let me just move this. All right. And then we also have share, which if you have teams and shared activities, you can share this folder, and I'll talk about that again a little bit later. We have rename, duplicate, delete, and we also have convert to survey. So folders will have their own individual actions, and activities will have their own. And then if you wanted to take an action on multiple items all at once, then you can use these actions at the top of the list. So that's kind of an overview of the activities and folders that we have, and all of the different actions you can take with them. Hopefully that all makes sense. Just to show you what this looks like in Slideware. So I have my PowerPoint app. The Poll Everywhere app for Mac works with PowerPoint and Keynote. If you're on Windows, you will see the app in your PowerPoint ribbon. But once you pull it up, you'll also see your activities and folders here. You can, again, click on the name column and the count column to sort. You won't see this order column. And that's because once you insert your slides into your deck, you can reorder them however you want. So the order within the actual app kind of translates into your slide deck, and that's where you'll do most of your ordering. You'll notice we have tabs here for your shared activities and your trash, similar to what we have in the web version. But from here, it's very, I think, consistent with what we saw on the web. You have your folders. You can always drill down into them. Again, here's those, security trainings that I was showing earlier. For example, these are, I think I was showing new hire earlier. Here's security. You can add new folders. You also have individual actions again, and activities will have them too. So you can also drag and drop, just like on the web. You can drag and drop a folder or an activity. And then if you select the checkboxes, we have less actions, but we still have them here. You have move, duplicate, clear, and delete. So you'll notice that when I've selected a folder, I actually can't insert slides. In order to insert them, you will need to select an individual activity or multiple. But when you have multiple folder levels, so I think I selected icebreakers, once you're in here, you can then insert those slides. So that's just something to note. The insert slides button works for activities themselves. But otherwise, this looks pretty similar to the browser version. We just have a little bit of a simplified view. But hopefully this should help you find all of your folders and activities so that when you insert them, you know where to look and where to go. So that's what the new Poll Everywhere apps look like. And this will be similar for PowerPoint, Keynote, Google Slides. The layout will look pretty much the same. So hopefully that helps you create a more streamlined and organized process for finding the content you need for your presentations. So going back into the web, a couple more things I wanted to show you was or were first there was reporting. So again, reporting comes up when you select an activity or a folder or both, and you can then create a report. So let's choose just a couple of activities here. For simplicity's sake, we're going to click create report in the top actions menu. And now we have this menu on the right, which is a little bit different than what it used to be, but hopefully is a seamless transition. So here we have the report types. You can choose between executive summary, audience response, pivot table. All of these are the same if you've used Pull Everywhere before. Let's choose executive summary. We're going to click create report, and that will just take us directly to our report. We can see our activities here, and we can do all of the normal reporting things from here. It's a fully functional report. Another way to generate a report is you can actually go to your reports page first using our left side navigation. There's our reports page. We can create a report here that will just open the report type first. So again, let's do maybe a different one this time, maybe a pivot table where you can click continue. And now we can choose between our activities, so our own ones that we created and that we own versus the ones that were shared with us. So maybe my activities. Let's do similar ones. And now it's just the steps are in a different order, but again, you have created a report. These just don't have responses, but the way that you create a report is pretty much the same, whether you do it from your activities page or from your reports page. It'll pop up on the right-hand side of your screen, and that way you can generate a report that way. We also saw some aspects of the enterprise plan with sharing shared activities and shared reports. So if, again, you wanted to share a folder with your team, the benefit of having multiple folder levels is that now you only need to share one folder, and all of the folders and activities within it will also be shared. So we know that, let's say, our trainings folder actually has 3 folders, and this folder has even more folders. But if I just share my trainings folder from my activities page, let's say with the marketing team, and click save, they will have access not only to just this folder, but all of the ones within it. So with one click, you've shared a bunch of levels and activities that are all already organized, which is really helpful. If you are on the receiving end, so if you're the one getting all of these shared activities, you'll see them here. These are just some examples that I've shared with myself previously. And from here, of course, you can click into the folder to present those activities, or you can click on their checkboxes to duplicate, clear, or run a report on them. So with just one click from your activities page, you're sharing a whole content hierarchy that is organized, it's labeled, and it makes sense to everyone on the team. So those were the demos I wanted to show you all, and that should cover most of the basics, the kind of foundation. Some other quick facts is, again, as I mentioned, you can create up to 20 folder levels. And then each folder can contain up to 400 items. And an item is both an activity and a folder. So hopefully that gives you plenty of room to create. And yeah, all of these paths are available to you. You can, customize them however you want. So I created some examples here, but you can totally make this your own. You can decide to label a folder based on the date or the year. So I have this one based on the quarter. I have icebreakers, which is just a category. Trainings and webinars are event or meeting types. And then we saw if you're an instructor, this is really great for you too, because you have, your fall semester. Within that, you have Econ 101, Econ 102, or whatever your class names may be. Within that, you can continue drilling down and have the specific lesson or the week as much granularity as you want there. So hopefully that should make finding and drilling down to your activities much easier. So I want to definitely get to all of your questions and show you things that are valuable to you. So let me head over into a quick slide about resources. And there we go. First of all, we have our blog, and we also have detailed support articles at support.pulleverywhere.com. If you are on an enterprise account, we also have in-depth training courses for you, so definitely check those out. And now I want to get into Q&A and help you get all of your questions about folders and navigation answered. Sorry about that. So feel free to drop your questions in the Q&A box. I'm going to start getting to them now. It looks like we have one already. Can you create a report from the icebreaker so we can see what it looks like? If you meant the icebreaker from today's activity, definitely. Let me head into that. I put it into my icebreakers folder. There it is. So I'm going to click on the checkbox and click create report. And let's do an executive summary. And there is our report. So we can change the report type. If I wanted to analyze this in Excel, I can do that by changing this maybe to a pivot table, whatever works for you. But this is an example of a report from today's icebreaker. Great idea. Any other questions about any of the things we went over today? Wow, looks like there are no questions coming in. Make sure you get those in so that we can answer them before you really get started. What specifics are in the other reports versus executive summary? Yeah, let me show you that. So if we wanted to change this to maybe a pivot table, that would go into every single participant's answers. We also have audience response, participant response history. These are definitely helpful if you have multiple questions and you want to see how every individual participant answered. And then gradebook is really helpful for educators or anyone who's kind of assigning credit to those scores, because then you can export them into either a spreadsheet or directly into your LMS. That way you can assign grades. So it just depends if you want to see answers per participant. Executive summary is per activity. So it's more of an overview. It doesn't reveal much about each individual participant. Why would you use send copy versus share? That's a really great question. So sending a copy, if you have shared activities, I definitely recommend using that. Shared activities and teams are at the enterprise level. So if you are on an organization-wide account and you have shared activities, I would highly recommend using them because that way you don't need to create copies. The difference is that by sending a copy, you're creating a separate activity, and the presenter who receives that copy is going to be getting their own responses. So you won't be able to tie those back in a report. If you use shared activities, even though two or more different presenters can be using that activity, they're still collecting all of the responses in one place. So then you can run a report across presenters or for each individual presenter. So there's kind of a difference there. But sending a copy can be useful if you just want that other presenter to own that copy and not really have as much visibility into it. When using Zoom, is the poll within Zoom the same as poll everywhere? If so, can you create a poll in poll everywhere and open up in a Zoom meeting? Yeah, so the activity that I presented earlier, this icebreaker, this was embedded in my Google Slides presentation. And when I go into present mode, I'm using the Poll Everywhere app for Google Slides. If you're using PowerPoint, for example, you can be sharing your PowerPoint. But either way, as long as you're sharing your desktop screen and you go into present, I'm in my Zoom meeting right now, of course, as are all of you. And I am presenting my screen, and that is how the Poll Everywhere activity appears in the Zoom meeting. So it's a matter of, you can either embed your activity into your slide deck, as I have done, or you can present directly from the browser. It's up to you. Can I batch rename my folders? I have a bunch called 101, so I don't need 101 in the titles anymore. At the moment, you can only rename a folder from this individual actions menu. So these are activities, but that is great feedback, and I will be sure to pass that along. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah, so each folder you can rename here. It's unfortunately not up here in this actions menu. Any other questions? Could be about folders or totally unrelated. Maybe it's about the navigation. Let me know if you need clarification on any of the icons or labels here. Any of the reordering, dragging and dropping. Happy to go over that again if you need to. Oh, looks like we're getting some questions here. All right. Is the new interface only affecting file management? That's a good question. I think the main changes are related to organization. So this is a new organization system. So of course the main updates are related to this. It's folders, the actual activities themselves, anything related to presenting hasn't changed. So yeah, I would say it's mostly about managing, organizing, keeping track of all your content and just streamlining it so that it fits with exactly your unique flow. If maybe the way that the organization makes sense to you is to put it in this type of folder where it's just a big picture, the whole quarter, the whole year, you can go down that route. If it's more by the activity type, you can go that way. But it's all about creating a system that kind of fits with all of your presentations and making that more seamless. It's also been one of our most highly requested features for a long time. So hopefully this is as exciting for you all as it is for me. If you share activities and the person you shared with presents and collect responses, would they clear responses in the originator's account? No. So that's the key thing with shared activities, is that you can be presenting the same question from two or more different presenter accounts, and the responses will still be retained for all of them. And then what you can do is run a report on that shared activity, and you can see either how each individual presenter did or how everyone did. You can run the report across all of the presenters. So it definitely doesn't override or clear any of the responses in the owner's account. How do I rename a folder? So you're going to click on the drop-down menu next to the folder's title in order to rename it, and then can always do that here. You can do that within our slideware apps as well. Can you quickly talk about the 4 buttons at the top? Deactivate, actions, settings, and pin Q&A. Yeah, definitely. So these items here just help you at a glance see what's currently on your response page. So this is my response page. I'm /webinar, but this will be your own URL. And the activated activity is the one that's currently active. So right now I have the what invention question that we did earlier. So I know that whoever goes to polev.com/webinar right now will see that question. A pinned Q&A is another type of activity that you can kind of keep on in the background. So if I were to set a pinned Q&A, you all on polev.com/webinar would see 2 tabs instead of 1, and you can switch between them to either, take part in my icebreaker, or you can use the pinned Q&A, and that's kind of like a back channel Q&A activity. So from here, I can easily deactivate this question. And let me just refresh the page so it syncs based on my presentation. So if I deactivate, now you all should no longer see it on polev.com/webinar. And then here, if I go into my settings, I can set my pinned Q&A, or I can learn more about what pinned Q&As are. So these are the 2 kind of cards that tell you at a glance what is currently live on your response page. Follow up from the shared activities question. In that previous scenario, which presenter would clear responses in between the times the course is offered? So you can think of shared activities as kind of, while you have them there, you can think of them as your own. So you can continue, doing whatever you need to do to clear those responses and present. So I did not create this activity, but I still have, as an admin, I have all of the settings. I can also edit this. If you're just a presenter, you won't be able to edit or change the activity, but you will have these actions next to it. So you can treat it like your own, but then the key is that when you run a report, or if an admin runs a report, they'll see all of the responses, not just your individual ones. So again, this activity I didn't create, but I can present it because it was shared with me. Really great questions here about sharing, managing, renaming. Sounds like we're all on the same page here. So like we have a couple more coming in here. Maybe one last question. Let's see. I just noticed that clicking on one checkbox and then clicking on a later one will select all the boxes in between. Very nice. Thank you. Yes. So we can go here, shift click. There we go. We've just selected all 4 activities. But you're seeing that it doesn't actually work for moving. Interesting. That is also really great feedback, and thank you for pointing that out. I will also pass that along to the product team. All right. Awesome. Well, again, I think that was our last question, but if there's anything else you're curious about or would like to know, we have updated our support documentation at support.pulleverywhere.com. We also have an in-depth blog post about the whole update. So you can head over to blog.pulleverywhere.com to learn about that. But in the meantime, I hope you all get a chance to try out folders and our refresh navigation. Really customize your account and make it your own. And I will see you all at the next webinar. We have Getting Started coming up. We have Pull Everywhere for large teams. So definitely check out all of our upcoming webinars and we will see you there. Thanks, everyone.